All right, you guys. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show tonight. This is Debbie, and we are with Spooky Things. Tonight we have Richard and Coleen Johnson, and they're hailing from Pensacola. How you guys doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Very good to have the snow
Now
melt.
you wasn't it beautiful though?
Yeah, it was crazy though. Crazy. And now
Yeah,
today it's what, 75 degrees?
yeah.
Welcome
It
to
was like
Florida. If you don't like the weather, just wait a minute.
that's right. Sit back, wait a few minutes, and go back outside again. It'll be all different.
Hmm.
How much did you guys get? Now we got over here about 4 to 5 inches, and you guys got more, didn't you?
We
Yeah,
we
I
got
measured
10.
I measured the backyard and on a flat surface there was 10 inches.
Dang, that'll build a
Yeah.
good snowman.
That's the first time I've ever seen snow here that lasted almost a week before it was all gone.
I know, same thing over here. Yeah, my kids are grown, my two boys, and they were like kids because they were like, "Mom, oh my God, this is snow." I said, "This would be snow. This isn't just a little bit of ice in the air. This is, yeah, honey, this is snow." They were having a blast. And at 36, it's like they were 6 and 7, you know.
Me too.
See, I grew up in
But
New Jersey, so I grew up with snow. But I was saying
mhm,
it was a way for God to reset everybody because think of how many kids were
right,
out in the snow and not on phones and not on computers and not playing video games, and how many adults were learned how to be a kid again, even just for a couple of days. I have pictures of our kids who are 29, 27, and 23, and they were out making snow angels and building snowmen and having snowball fights. It was good to see they remembered how to be a kid.
that's absolutely true. That is a great way to see that, and I agree with that. It was just, yeah. But you know what? They're saying, "Oh, it was a once in a lifetime event." Hmm. I wonder about that. With everything that's been going on, I'm kind of interested to wait and see what happens next year because
Yeah.
maybe it's not so much of a once in a lifetime event anymore.
Well, if you think
The way
about it,
everything's been
this year,
changing.
between the tornadoes and the floods and the crazy hurricanes and heading to North Carolina and everything, and they had earthquakes in New Jersey, which has never been heard of.
Right.
You have wildfires in California, you have wildfires in North Carolina. I mean, and then we get 10 inches of snow in Pensacola, Florida. Now, you tell me that the world isn't on its ear right now.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. And I think there's this huge wake up calls coming at us left and right. And after a while, those wake up calls are going to end,
Yep.
and it's going to be like chips are down, buddy.
Hmm.
We're in it now. So yeah, I agree. I just, I think next year will probably tell us a lot. See what kind of happens next year, but I don't think this is going to be so unusual. Maybe going forward from here, but we'll see.
I
I
We'll
think
have
see.
a feeling about
So
2025.
you,
I think it's going to be a really good year.
what
2025.
I
I just
hope
feel
so.
like it's going to be a really good year. I've had that feeling since the 1st of January, even before the snow. I was like, this is going to be a good year. I just have a feeling.
I hope you're right. I know we got a lot of really cool things on the line here, and working real hard to have all that come through. And if it does, wow, yeah, it is going to be a good year. But some things are kind of crazy out there, and some things are pretty good.
Well,
I'm not
crazy
so
and
sure.
unusual is what
Eh,
we deal in.
What's huh?
Crazy and unusual is what we
Exactly.
deal in. That's our bread and butter. Crazy and unusual.
It's what keeps us in business. Now, talking about that, you guys have ethereal voices.
Yep. Yes, we
Yes,
do.
we do.
How's that going? Yeah, great, great, great team. You guys do some very interesting things. Tell us a little bit about what goes on with that.
Well, we haven't been like we're getting back going again now. Hopefully, we'll have some good investigations coming up soon. Um,
COVID really messed with us.
so
Oh, well,
we like to help people with like private residences and stuff. Um, and we specialize. I guess you could say that. Not really. I don't know what word to use. Not like specialized, but our main thing is vocal communication,
Our medium of choice.
medium of choice. Yeah, vocal
okay.
vocal communication, EVPs, spirit boxes, things of that nature. Something so that spirits can talk back to us. That's kind of what we like to use the most in our investigations is vocal communication.
I mean, if you think about it, most of what people get, once in a while you get a photo, once in a while you get something moving. Once in a while you get stuff on the SLS, but almost every investigation gets some kind of EVP, some
That's
kind of
true.
voice phenomena, whether it's through a spirit box or it's on magnetic tape or it's on a voice recorder, or even if it's just, EMF setting off REM pods and stuff, it's sound related. That's what seems to be
Yeah,
That's true.
easiest for them.
I don't think we have a recorder that matches another one. We use just
Several different kinds.
put them out all over the place when we're investigating and use each everyone's different. So they all have a different frequency range and the way they record, whether it's really high definition or if it's low quality. We use regular tape
A
recorder,
cassette tape recorder,
cassette tape.
like from the 80s and 90s.
That works
Yeah.
really well. For some reason, the cassette recorder gets more EVPs than anything.
Yep.
That's why we've come to find it. And I don't know if it's because of the way it records, because it uses magnetics. Uh,
Right.
so maybe they can draw off of that and use it.
Sometimes
I
old
don't
school is
know.
the best way to go. Sometimes you get
I agree.
the most activity old school, before all these fancy gadgets and gizmos and stuff, when all you needed was a tape recorder and, your ears and just going and saying, can anyone hear me? And that's what we kind of get
And
back
it's absolutely, and it's interesting because a lot of the more popular shows right now are tending to go back to that.
to. Hmm.
And you know, whenever I've done the classes on paranormals and all this kind of stuff, I always tell, the people that are with me, the best instrument that you have is yourself.
Yep.
Hmm.
Especially, which is true, especially the people that are sensitive. They have built-in instruments that other others don't have, but you key into that, and after a while of doing this for a while, you begin to understand more about what your gut instinct is actually telling you.
Yep.
I call them yeah, I call them my peeps. My peeps are with me all the time, especially when I'm driving. I think that's a hint, but
They're
I guess
telling
I
you,
don't
slow
realize that.
down, watch the road.
Yeah, but it was really funny is that it used to freak my husband out back years ago because I'd be looking around in the car, not paying any attention, and I'd look up. I go, "Watch out! Around the corner, there's going to be a dog. He's going to come out in the street, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to hit him." He'd look over at me and it's like, "Get back to doing what you were doing before. I know how to drive," kind of a thing. We'd come around the corner. Here come that dog. I said, "I told you there was a dog around the corner." He was like, "I don't know how you do that, but don't do that."
We ran
That just
into that when Richard and I first got together because we met because of the paranormal. And when we first got together, um, he moved in 3 months after we started dating. And when we're together, activity is like
Hmm.
tenfold. He was with, before we started EVP, he was with another group and they were at the Bluffs and they were getting EVPs and stuff, but that's really all they were getting. Is It was kind of scattered. And then when I got off work at the hospital, I said, "Hey, you're down the street filming. Can I come down there and I'll stay out of the way. I just want to watch you film. I've never gotten to watch you film in 2 years." And he's like, "Yeah, come on down." As soon as I got there, I mean, it was crazy. We heard Indian drumming. We heard, me and another girl who were off camera heard someone running in leaves straight up towards us. We turned around, there's nobody there. Richard got grabbed by the leg and something was trying to pull him into this gully. And then when we brought him up top and we were cleansing him, and he put his hat down on the bench and it was sitting there, and then all of a sudden his hat moved by itself. And and ever since then, when we're together, activity just is tenfold. But it started from when we first got together. He had such bad
Yeah.
vertigo and deja vu when we were together that it would actually make him dizzy and nauseous. And we would be sitting there and he would go, "This is crazy." He goes, "There's going to be a red truck and then a blue car." And sure enough, red truck, then blue car came. And I'm like, "How are you doing that?" He's like, "I don't know. I've never done this before. I don't know." And it's built since then where we can walk in it. We walk into like a thrift store or something. We watch a certain area. I was like, come stand here. I feel like I'm going to climb out of my skin. Just come stand here. And he would feel the energy too. And the two of us would just try to figure out what was causing the energy. In one place, it was called the Iron Gargoyle in Gulf Breeze, and it's an antique shop. And there was this little, back in the 70s, we had a toy. It was called Snoopy Dog, and it was wooden carved dog, and the tail had a spring on it that did this, and you pulled it.
Hmm.
And we were standing there and we're like, "God, the energy is crazy right here." Like all the hair was standing on our arms and on the backs of our necks, and you could just feel it. And then we looked down and the tail on this little Snoopy dog is doing this, just wagging back and forth. I was like, man. So sometimes we like to split up when we're investigating, and sometimes it's better for us to be together. Just if it's
Right.
have a lot of activity, we get together, and we've been told that it's like we're connected by a silver thread, is what we were told. We're connected by a silver cord. We're soulmates. We were meant to be together through all time, and so that's why when we're together, activity is tenfold. I mean, we were sitting here watching TV one day, just sitting here watching TV. All of a sudden, the chair that Richard's sitting in, which the computer's on a roll top desk, okay, and it's secondhand. We got it from someone else, but the computer chair was pushed into the desk, and this is on carpet, and this is like 1980s carpet, okay. This is not like the new Berber stuff. This is like plush carpet, okay. And the chair was pushed into the desk. And we're just sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden, the chair comes out and bangs against the side of the desk. And we're like,
Wow.
and we're just looking at it going, it's either your dad or my dad, you know?
Yeah,
Well, you complement each other.
there's always all kinds of stuff happening in our house. I don't know if it's stuff that's followed me home too. So
It usually is. In my
stuff
old
that
house, it
stuff
was.
that's come home with us, and you know, we have, let's see, that chair right there behind us.
You
There's
see
a
the
rocking
rocking chair?
chair. It's kind of dark, but
Yep.
that rocking chair, we got, somebody gave it to us. This lady had it on Facebook and was free. Come and get it. And it's this heavy
Oh,
oak
okay.
rocking chair. Ever since we brought it home, now in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd be dead asleep and you'll wake up because the smell of somebody cooking in our house is so strong. You can smell like bacon stuff. So that's grandma's chair. Nobody sits in it. The cats won't even sit on it.
Yeah. And we've been on podcasts with psychics, and they were like, "What room is that behind you guys?" And we're like, "Well, we're in the living room." "No, what room is that's lit up?" And we're like, "That's the kitchen." They're like, "Who's the old lady that's cooking?" We're like, "Oh, that's grandma. She's attached to the chair because the chair belonged to is the woman who gave it to us. It was her mother's 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 chair." but it looks like no one's ever sat in it.
Wow.
Like, it looks brand new. The cats won't sit in it. The grandchildren won't sit in it. If the only thing that we can hang on it is Richard's ghost hunting hat. That's the only thing we can hang on it. And if we put stuff on there, we'll come back and it'll be on the floor. It's crazy. But
That
you can,
is
I mean,
interesting.
3 in the morning, you can smell bacon cooking. You can smell chicken cooking, like that's battered in 4C Italian breadcrumbs, or Progresso breadcrumbs. Um, I mean, you can smell cornbread, you can smell toast some days, and you come out in the kitchen and it's dark and quiet, and there's nothing going
And
on.
it goes away.
It goes away.
When you get up, it goes away. It's
Hmm.
weird.
Yep. And shortly after we got that chair, he had lost all of his blood pressure meds. He takes 3 blood pressure meds,
But we just moved.
and we had just moved here, and it was shortly after we got the chair, and he could not find his blood pressure meds anywhere. And we dug through all the boxes in the bedroom, in the bathroom, the kitchen, everything. We could not find his medications anywhere. And so I told him, I said, well, tomorrow call the doctor and have them send you in refills because you need your medicines. We went to bed, woke up the next morning, and on my dresser, there was nothing on my dresser because we had moved in shortly before. And there, all 3 bottles were lined up on the dresser
In
the
a
next
row.
morning in a row. I have no idea where they were, but we figured Grandma put them there.
So, yeah,
Well, Grandma's figuring, well, since you can't find them, I may as well help you out.
I
Exactly.
guess. Yeah, so we have some crazy stuff happen, around us, but we it's nothing. I don't know. We welcome it. I guess it's
Nothing
not anything
negative.
bad. So it's not like, oh God, we have to run it off or whatever. As long as they
Yeah,
behave,
yeah,
hey, we're okay with it.
In our
yeah.
Gulf,
It's
when
just,
we were living in Gulf Breeze for together for like 8 years, and when we were in Gulf Breeze, I had no activity in the house till Richard moved in. Okay, none. And after Richard moved in, I had the feeling of like a 2-year-old jumping on my bed at 5 in the morning because he was a garbage man in Alabama first, and he would be gone at like 3 in the morning. And so at 5 in the morning, before I had to get up to go to the hospital, I would turn off my alarm, try to go back to sleep, and then I would feel a child jumping on my bed. We had a spirit that would lock the deadbolts on the house, and you can only lock the deadbolts from a key from the outside. And I never did because I just locked the handle lock and that was it. I mean, it was Gulf Breeze. I
yeah.
wasn't too worried, and I nobody was in the house. I locked the handle lock, went out, went and picked up my 3 kids from their friends' houses, came home, and the deadbolt was locked. Or I would go into our bedroom and I'd go in the bathroom, come out, and my bedroom door is closed and locked from the inside. And so one day I was on the treadmill and I was running and I heard someone say, "Hey," in my ear. So I called Richard. I was like, "Are you on your way home?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" And this is before we started investigating together. And I said, "Because someone said hey to me." And he goes, "Someone said hey to you?" I said, "Someone said hey to me, and there's nobody in the house." He's like, "Okay, I'm on my way." So he came home and we did an EVP session, which we don't investigate our own house. We don't do EVP sessions in our own house. We don't open those doors in
Right,
our own house because you have to be able to sleep. Um, but we did an
right.
EVP session just to find out who's there. And Richard literally said, "Who are you? Why are you bothering my wife? And I can make you leave." And a man's voice clearly said, "Let me stay."
Yep.
Oh,
And he said, "Are you the one that's been locking the deadbolts?" And he goes, "Yeah,
Well,
yeah."
we
uh,
saw him a couple. We saw him a couple of times, and like we could ask neighbors and stuff. The neighbors would say that they saw him. So the guy, I think, had something to do with the land in that area or something because
yeah,
we even had
yeah.
neighbors that said, "Yeah, this it's an old guy. It's like
We called him Tony.
he'll make coffee. We just call him Tony. What's up, Tony?
You can hear him making coffee in the kitchen. You can hear the mug on the counter. You can hear,
Like a
water. You can hear all that, the
spoon.
spoon in the mug. You go in there, nobody's in there.
So oh no,
But we left them there.
yeah, he hasn't been here. So that's why I said I think he had something. He didn't follow us here, so I think it was had something to do with the land around there where we
Yeah, the
used.
land or the house.
Since we've been here, I've
Yeah.
seen some white shapes that go past the windows. Um,
Hmm.
and I've felt stuff out in the backyard. But nothing menacing, nothing bad. You know, I you know, I prefer not to see them now. I've taken photos of full bodied apparitions, but I've never had anybody in my face go, ah, you know what I mean? So
Right.
I like to sleep at night. I work at the hospital. You got to get your sleep.
Oh, I know. I worked at the hospital down here in Bay County for years, and yeah, you don't want to bring that stuff back with you.
No.
Um, no. Now, for some reason, there's been I've had two circumstances. One in my old house here, and we replaced this house with the last one, and the first time it was a young girl. Well, actually, they've both been females. Yeah, they've both been females, and they wake me up standing right next to my. I mean, like right next to me. And the first time she reached out to touch me, and I woke up in a start, and I said, "No, you're not permitted. No, don't do that."
Hmm.
And poof, she was gone. And I thought, well, I hated to be cruel to her, but you're not permitted to touch me.
And you don't know who she
And
is. You don't know who she's
no
pretending to
idea.
be.
I have no idea. She looked very young, but I don't care. Unless I give you direct permission, which I'm not going to do,
Hmm.
you don't touch me. And then the other time, now that was like maybe 3, 4 years ago. And the other time was in the last 3 months, I guess, was a different young girl, not quite as young, but standing like right there next to my bed, and but didn't say or make any motions towards me in any way. But when I woke up, they were right there, and then they were gone again. So it's like, what, you know? And here lately, my TV set just has a mind all of, well, apparently somebody else's, because it turns on and turns off by itself. And I'm like, stop it. And this is the interesting part, my remote doesn't turn my TV on and off.
Oh my
It's,
goodness.
yeah. So I can sit there and press that button all I want to. It's not going to do anything. But somebody has no problem with it.
Oh,
They're
make
just,
sure it's not like the joke Richard played on me in the old house where I turned on the TV and then the channels would start changing, then it would turn off, then it turn on, and he had downloaded an app on his phone and he was in the kitchen going. I was like, oh my gosh. Yep.
well, I thought about that. But the reason it was so strange is that I've got Roku in this one TV back here, and you have to have that special
Hmm.
clicker thing to
Yeah,
do it.
all of our TVs
So
are
I
right.
don't know if it would work on that or not. But yeah, this is with a Roku TV.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And then it started changing the channels, and I'm like, stop it. Put it back on. Stop it. And it wouldn't do it. And the next thing, click. I said, oh, stop it. And then after a while, I'm really serious. Come on, it's at the end of the show. Don't do this.
I want to see how it ends. Come
Oh God,
on.
yeah. I've sat here for 2 hours. Damn it, stop it. But that's what's been going on here lately. But nothing, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, you go out and you do all this stuff, and I can only imagine what your house is like. Not really. I mean,
A lot of
we
times
all
your
run that
houses are
possibility,
calm.
but
A lot of the times the houses are calm because everything is outside. We'll go to Walmart and he'll be like, "Do you see that?" And he takes off, and I'm like, "See what? What? See what? That girl that just ducked behind that van. She like was wearing a denim shirt. She had blonde hair. She just ducked behind the van, and he runs over there, and there's no girl there. And he's like, it makes you think. How many times do you see people when you're out and about, and are they really there or not? Because especially if they're just going about their business, you don't know if they're
I
really there or
see.
not.
I see a lot of stuff that I can't explain. I don't know why I'm able to see it and other people aren't able to see it.
And he only sees it sometimes,
I,
not other times, and
you
it's
know,
just
I
yep.
don't. If it was meant for me to see it at that moment for some reason or whatever, I have no clue. But It freaks me out a little bit.
And
That's,
our
I know what you're talking
granddaughter sees stuff too, and her father used to see stuff when he was younger. Now he denies it because he's all grown and 29, and it's just not cool to see ghosts. But he used to see the Sparkle Man all the time. He called it Sparkle Man because I guess to children, spirits look like a bunch of sparkles. But he used to call him the
about.
Sparkle Man, and he used to see him standing in the backyard, or standing at the top of the stairs, or standing in his door. Sometimes they just see the legs going up the stairs, and he's been seeing it since he could talk. I mean, literally, I was pregnant with my second child, and he was 2 years old, and he was walking through the living room going, bye, bye. And I'm like, who are you waving to? He goes, him. And he's following all the way to the garage door and stopped. And I was like, okay. And from then on, he would see the Sparkle Man. But now our grandbaby, you know, she can see things. And ever since she was a baby, she would be a baby. I'd be
no,
sitting on the couch and I'd be, giving her a bottle, and she'd be looking up at the corner where there's nothing in the corner up by the ceiling and just laughing and giggling and talking. And she was taking a bath. The bathroom is right across from our room. And she was taking a bath, and the door was open, and my bedroom door was open. And she's like, Mima. And I said, yeah, baby, what you need? She goes, will you close the door? And I said, well, why? Why do you want the door closed? And she goes, I'm tired of watching the shadows moving in the bedroom. And I'm like, how about I just close the bedroom door? There you go. We'll just close it.
There you go.
we catch movement a lot. Like, you'll see something move.
Mhm.
It's almost like they just peep around the corner. They just, I don't know.
Yeah, and
And we'll both be like, did you see
I
that?
yeah. Oh, by the way, hi, Michael. Michael Copson.
Hi.
Hi, Michael.
Um, there, it's interesting. I tell people a lot. I don't think they're as unusual as people think. They're here all over the place.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's 12 o'clock midnight.
Mhm.
That's all hooey. It
The
doesn't matter.
best picture I took was at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Myrtles Plantation, full bodied apparition.
There you go.
9 in the morning.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like haunted places. If it's haunted at nighttime, it's haunted during the day, and people go, well, "Why do y'all do it at nighttime then?" Because it's spookier if you go in at night.
It
It's
is.
better,
And
like
I
for
honestly,
photography and stuff. Photography, things
yeah,
like that
Night
is
vision,
better.
it is.
the lights
And
flash.
I also think that the nighttime is better for them because they have the ability to evade themselves better. They can avoid people seeing them easier. All they have to do is step back into the shadows,
Mhm.
and they can watch in ease and comfort.
Yep.
Mhm.
They're not worried about being spotted or anything. And so I think it's just more of a more easier atmosphere for them, which
Mhm.
could be why they tend to roam about maybe a little bit more. But I really think in the long run of it all, they could really care. Yeah, there's Michael. Hi guys. Um, but it just it doesn't matter. They're there. And now there was a man that got killed on my property, and I was kind of not happy about that when I bought the place. Nobody had divulged that information to me, and apparently now my understanding of it is I wasn't there, so I have to take what the neighbor, of course, joyfully told me one day, and he said that it was a apparently a drug deal gone bad, and it involved somebody purchasing cocaine and did not pay for it. And the guy that sold it to him came over here and shot the man in the back with the shotgun and killed him right in his home. And the bad part also was is that his I don't know if it was his nephew or his brother, never really got that straightened out, who was seriously disabled and wasn't really able to take care of himself or really move around that much, was sitting on the couch when it happened.
Mm.
And Um, he was there by himself until the next morning when they wouldn't answer the phone. And the rest of this is like a family compound then, and there was two other members of the families living in each two different houses here, and one of them went over next door to go check and see why they weren't answering the phone, and they found him in the hallway. So the young child had been there all through the night with him laying there.
Oh man.
um, yeah, that's pathetic. And nobody divulged that to me when I moved in here. So I built up the barn for the horses up on the side, and I had just moved the horses in, and was looking outside the house one day, and I said, "Who's that man standing over by the barn?" I said, "Sean, do you know who that could be?" He goes, "Mom, I don't know anybody up here." And I'm like, "There's somebody standing. He's got his foot propped up on the side of the barn, and he's smoking a cigarette at my barn." Oh, I don't think so. So I went out there, and I could smell it so clearly when I walked outside, and I'm like, "Hello, hello, who are you?" And he looked over at me and just kept smoking. And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no." So I started walking towards him, and it's not that big of a distance. And I'm like, "Sir, sir, this is my barn. I've got hay in there. You can't be smoking around. Who are you?" And when I walked over to him, he just kind of threw the cigarette on the floor and then walked around the corner of the barn. And there was nobody there. There was nobody there. But the smell of the cigarette was so strong, it was like he was standing right there. So, that was my first encounter with him. But, we've experienced certain things like that, but he was not a bad guy. As a matter of fact, from everything I've heard, he was actually a pretty good guy. A pretty good guy. And he came back to take care of his family because his family was in need. And he came back to help with his family. So I really feel bad about everything, but I think I should have been told when I bought it. Hey.
Well, I think this house that we're in, we I lived in the house in Gulf Breeze for 17 years, and I rented for 17 years. It was after my divorce from my first husband, and I lived there when Richard and I met, and then he moved in there with me. And after 17 years, the landlord said, "Well, we decided that we're going to divest all of our properties, and so you have 6 months to either buy the house or leave." And I had already
Oh,
paid the house off for them. I paid the house off for them. Like in 17 years, I paid it off. And so we found out how much it was they wanted for it. We got pre-approved for the mortgage. And when our real estate agent told them, "Yeah, we'll take it for this amount," they said, "Oh, well, our real estate agent said we can get an extra $40,000, so we're going to sell it for more." So at that point, I said, forget it. We'll just cut our losses. Um, and we spent weeks looking for a house, and we had signed an agreement to buy one, and we had our mortgage set up. And then something fell through with the mortgage. They had doubled my income somehow by accident, and it fell through with the mortgage 2 weeks before closing. And so at that point, after having to leave my home where I raised my children for 17 years, and then our mortgage falling through, and I was in a very low place. I was in a very depressed state. I would go home and just lay in bed and cry. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. I was crying at work. And we found out on Mother's Day that our mortgage fell through. And so that Thursday, Richard had messaged me at work, and he said, "Hey, um, I see where someone's having an open house. They're renting a house. It's in Pensacola, but it's for the same amount we're renting this one for. And would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess. We can get something to eat, and then we'll go over there." And so we did. And we had our real estate agent come with us just to take a look at the place. Well, we walk in, and I was like, "Well, this might work." It was down to one bathroom instead of two, but it might work. And we ended up staying there for the whole open house. And it turned out when our real estate agent showed up, he and the property manager or the landlord knew common people. So they were sitting there chit chatting. And we kept going in and walking through, and I was like, well, it's got a good feeling to it. It feels good, this will work, even just temporarily. And before we left, he said, hey, I'm going to let you guys, I have all these applications, but I'm going to let you guys have it if you want it. Now, up until this point, I worked with a very religious person. Okay. And she had come up to me and she said, don't worry, Colleen, God has a plan for you. And I looked at her because I was in such a bad place. And I said, your God might have a plan for you. My God left me. I don't know where he is. We've always done the right thing. We've always done things for other people. We've always opened our doors for people who needed it. And when we need him, he's gone. I don't know where he is, but don't talk to me about God has a plan for me. So when we came to look at this house, he thinks it's funny because of how it ended up. So we come to look at this house, and he's like, "Yeah, we can go ahead and if I want to rent it to you guys. So if you guys are interested, let me know." And I was like, "Well, we have a German Shepherd. Is that a problem?" He's like, "Nope, no problem at all." And we're like, "Okay." And so we decided, yeah, we're going to go ahead and sign the lease. He's a pastor at the church. So God was like, okay, I'm giving you this. So, you have to start thinking about me again, right? And I'll tell you, ever since we moved into this house, everybody who comes in this house is like, it feels so comfortable. It feels like I'm going home to my mom's or I'm going home to my grandmother's house. And I mean, everybody who's come over here is just like, it's just so comfortable here. And, it was just funny how I had lost my faith and I was in such a bad place, and God just shoved it down my throat. And now Richard volunteers at the church and everything, and I said, well, at least we're right with Jesus. If the end of days is coming, we're right with Jesus.
There you
But
go.
our landlord even said, we're like, hey, you haven't renewed our lease yet. Should be worried. He goes, you are the two people on this planet we never have to worry about. He goes, you don't have to worry. You guys will be here for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Staying
weird
in a
how it
house
works out.
previously for 17 years,
A lot of people think you're you go where you want to go. Like, but I really think that you're where you're supposed to be at that time.
I do too.
There's things that if you look back, there's a lot of things that fell into place to put us where we're at right now. And I really believe that. I believe that there's things that happen for a reason. There was a reason that we didn't get the mortgage on that house.
Oh, tell her about what you found out
And
after.
the neighbors at the house we were going to buy. I talked to the guy that owns it now, and he said he is miserable. The neighbors are terrible.
Hmm. And they're out constantly feuding back and forth. And now he was trying to get out of the house.
He's
He's trying
trying
to
to
sell
sell
it.
his house now and move.
Hmm.
So
He's like, you should thank God that your
I
mortgage
mean,
fell through.
there's reasons that you're where you're at. There's people
Yeah.
that you interact with that you know you wouldn't have met otherwise. That I mean, there's a lot of things that happen to put us where we are right now, and there's a reason that we're supposed to be here.
It's interesting.
We're supposed to be.
It's interesting because I don't know why, but the wall that's behind Colleen, that wall right there, it's like for some reason I'm looking at that wall, and you were talking about the house being very comfortable and very easygoing, and for some reason I got the distinct I don't know, comfy like a cat lady, and it's like, did somebody have cats or a lot of cats in there?
We have three cats.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
Yep, and two of them are brothers.
So
We we didn't plan on it. One was a cat that when we first moved into the house, he just showed up outside, and he was skin and bones. His head was huge and his body was teeny tiny. He was skin and bones, and we didn't know if he was vaccinated or not, so we didn't bring him in the house. But we kept feeding him. And we named him Diesel. And I would go to leave for work. He hear, we feed him again. And our two cats, we have one that goes outside, one that stays inside. Harley stays inside, and Tuft goes outside. They're brothers. Um, But now Diesel, evidently, he visits everybody in the neighborhood, so he's become a chunker because he's put that weight on. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, we have cats, a black cat and a gray tabby.
I'd love to
And they're
see what this house
extraordinarily
looked like.
comfortable and safe.
I'd love to see what it looked like
They
when we
what?
first built it, because in that wall there's a fireplace that's closed up in that wall. So there used to be
Oh,
a
is there?
fireplace. This over on the other side of me over here was the porch.
And now it's a dining room.
So and now it's
Oh, there
closed
there
in.
was a fireplace behind.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Oh,
in
that
so
that
there was
wall.
a fireplace behind that wall.
Yeah,
yeah, it's in
That's where
here
that
right
it's
now.
still
snuggly
in there.
feeling is coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's still in there.
it's still in
Yep,
there.
that's where that snuggly feeling is coming from.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Okay. So, oh, that
terrifying.
because
explains
I
it.
was fixing to say, if she says there's a damn fireplace in that wall, we're logging off.
But
Yeah,
you know
there
how
is.
fireplaces
Yeah,
give
there's.
that feeling of comfort and security and
And this
that
whole room
snuggly kind
feels
of a
that way.
feeling.
Yeah.
The whole room feels that way. That's like even the color. So this was not the color it was supposed to be.
Oh, it was when we moved in. It was ugly.
It was this ugly. Like a couple times a year, the dump will take all these different colors of paints and they mix them all together, and then you could get free 5 gallon buckets of paint. But you never know what the color is going to look like. And it looked like whoever had painted it had gotten one of those buckets, and it was like a gray, blue, green.
It was like awful baby blue, like
Oh, it was
somebody messed up baby
horrible.
blue.
And it was the front porch was painted in it. This whole room was painted in it. All the bedrooms were painted in it. The hallways were painted in it. It was hideous. And so since we moved in, like before we moved in, we paid the rent for a month and a half before we moved in so that we could get it homey. So like the dining room, we painted the same color that we had the dining room in my old house. The hallway, same color we had in the old
Oh,
house.
okay.
Our granddaughter Adeline's room, we had to color match the pink. So it was the same pink as in the old house, is in the new house. And I had picked out this color. I said, I want the living room to be like sage. I want it to be sage green. And we picked out a sage green. But when we got it home, he was painting it while I was at work. And when we got it home and he sent me a picture, he's like, this is the color it is. And it's more of like an army green or an avocado green. But
Oh
it
no.
but it's so comfortable and it's such a tranquil color with the brown couches and the brown
Uh-huh.
carpet and the green, and it's all earthy colors. And it just, it was a mistake, but it was again a happy mistake, and I wouldn't
Yep.
trade it for the world. Things just happen the way they're supposed to happen sometimes.
Yep.
That's like us meeting.
I
There's
remember.
no way. We met because
Right.
we were both were on Plenty of Fish, which was a dating app at the time, and I was not looking to date anybody, and I had just gotten out of a relationship, but he was my top match, and so I was looking at his hobbies and interests and stuff, and it said ghost hunting, and having a son who had been seeing ghosts since he was little. And my daughter was empathic. The youngest one has no gifts, but the other two, or he says he's transgender. He says he has no gifts. However, the oldest one and the middle one, we know have gifts. We've taken them on ghost hunts to like Fort Pickens and Fort Morgan, and they've experienced stuff. Um, what?
The dog was whining.
Oh, and so you know, now you made me lose my train of thought.
Gifts.
My train
You
got
took them. You took them with you to Fort
Picking
Pickens,
Fort
We
and
Pickens.
took them to Fort Pickens. We took them to Fort Morgan. They've experienced a lot of the stuff that was going on, when we took them. But now that they're grown, they're like, "Oh no, we don't believe in that. I don't know what you guys are doing. I don't know, why you guys are so interested in that." And I was like, "You saw these things. You have felt these things. You have, my daughter. We took her to Fort Morgan, and Richard has investigated Fort Morgan for like 26 years, to the point where other teams would go in and do EVPs, and they would clearly get an EVP that said, "Where's Richard?" That's how many times he's investigated. In fact, he took a picture of a full bodied apparition at Fort Morgan, and sent it in to Josh Gates at Expedition X. And they did a 2-part special on Fort Morgan and captured a full bodied apparition on camera during
Wow.
that. Yeah. And we took our kids in there and we were walking through the powder magazine. And that's the place where Richard always had. What are you
The
crying
dog,
about?
and she's crying because the cat's under the couch.
We have German Shepherds too.
I don't know if you can hear her
She's
whining
like,
in the background.
what the heck? Um, but we were walking through the powder magazine. Katie had never been there before. And we were walking through, and all of a sudden she starts yelling that her arms were burning. My arms are burning. My arms are burning. We're like, what is wrong? I don't know. My arms are burning. We're like, do you know their name? She's like, it doesn't sound like an old soldier's name. I said, what is the name? She said, his name is Bill. And she's like, well, my arms are burning. And he keeps saying, they blame me, but it wasn't my fault. It was an accident. They blame me, but it wasn't my fault. It was an accident. So we moved her out of there because she was frantic, screaming her arms were burning.
Wow.
We got her out of the area and she was good. So then she and my son went into, there's a little area where Cub Scouts sleep. Okay. They have bunk beds in there, and at the end is a fireplace. And they were both in that area. My son was in there first, and he's like, do you feel that, Katie? Do you feel that? Because he said he could see a shadow crouching down in the fireplace. And Katie walked in, she's like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. This is ridiculous. Let's just go. Because she was already freaked out from what happened before. And he said, as they were leaving, she got scratched down her back. And I
Oh
mean,
no.
you'd have to, it was under her bra straps, like just scratched down her back. And he said, as they were leaving, he heard knock, 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 knock on all of the bunk beds as they were running out. So, I mean, we've, we've seen some crazy stuff. We have seen some crazy stuff.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely, I don't know, because we can't call it a job because I don't get paid to do this. So yeah,
Yeah, we don't take any money for
it's
it.
an expensive hobby. You know.
It
But
is.
Richard does build equipment. I don't know if you're aware of that, but Richard does build
No.
paranormal equipment.
Yeah.
In
I
fact,
build.
he's the Museum of Shadows that just opened here in Pensacola. The guys who had one in Omaha have also built one here, and they've actually, we've given them some equipment, and they have asked Richard to design some equipment for them because they do ghost hunts on Fridays and Saturday nights. But we came up with the idea. Most REM pods are like this, where they're plastic. You know, and you think most of the
Right.
places that you're going to
I'll grab this.
are old places. You go to places from the 1800s,
I'm gonna
1700s,
grab the battery.
1600s. Um, and this is all plastic. So
Yeah, they don't recognize that. Yeah.
they may not recognize it. They may be afraid of it. They may not know what it is. So we came up with the idea of building REM pods out of wooden boxes rather than plastic. And he designs them, and then he decorates each one differently. He signs the bottom of each one. Each one is like a work of art.
I'll grab one.
Wow.
He also builds paranormal music boxes. And recently we bought some tins, like old tins, and we're using those so you get that more tinny sound, for the
Okay.
music boxes. But he also built some crazy
Yeah.
looking REM
I built.
pods.
Oh,
Up more.
Oh, that is cool. Oh,
okay. And they,
oh, I like that.
I put I do different ones. I put different things on them. Some of them are kind of steampunk. I got some people that have asked me to make some that are like kind of Harry Potter themed. Like the
Hmm.
antenna's going to be a wand, that kind of stuff. So I mean, I make them just about any way. I can make them weird. Ever,
He's come up with some crazy stuff, like this one. This one creeps people out. Hold it
I
up.
love it. Oh, that is funny.
yeah. So
Oh, I love that.
I told him that what would be cool is if we could make it where the hand was animated. So when it goes off, it starts walking towards whatever is setting it off. Like Thing from the Addams Family, just, you know.
And then you lose half your room. They're
I
gone.
don't know, but so there are some people who get freaked out and other people who love it.
Well,
Um,
and people ask me all the time, what can I use? And I try to tell them, nothing's really. I mean, there's no set science to this.
Yeah,
Try. Yeah, that's a doll.
that's really cute. That is really cute.
and I've gotten him some clown heads.
So we're gonna do
So
like
we're going to do
clowns and
some clown themed ones because what's creepier than clowns?
Yeah, that
Clowns
is very
creepier
true.
than ghosts.
yeah. So I got a bunch of ideas, and I mean, why not?
Why not?
People ask me all the time, well, what should I use? And I'm like, look, I said, if you're just starting out, you don't need all this stuff. We have all this stuff because it's taken years to get it.
Right.
All these fancy gadgets and spirit boxes and this and that. All you need is a tape recorder and a camera.
It's
That's it.
true.
That is all you need, and yourself. Yeah, the other stuff kind of helps, REM pods, so it picks up, oh, something walked by or whatever, all the other stuff. But I mean, really, if you just want to go investigate somewhere, all you need is a camera and something to record with. Tape recorder,
Yeah,
a digital recorder. You don't have to be
yeah,
all fancy and
But even K2s had the price on those have come down a lot.
yeah, you can pick up K2s for really cheap now, but I'd like to have some of the older things. I'd love to have an original Frank's box. Some of the
uh,
older technology. You know, and I just think that the way this field goes, and people keep experimenting with different pieces of equipment, making different things. One day, they're going to hit that sweet spot, and
yes,
it's going to be like, "Whoa, wait, who's this?" And you're going to be talking back and forth.
Mhm.
it's true.
You know,
It is
I mean,
true.
if they can talk onto a recorder and project their voice onto that recorder, but you can't hear them, then they're speaking in a frequency that we can't hear. All we have to do is find that frequency, and
Now
then you'd be able to hear it.
I have been on an investigation one time with a previous team, and um, we were at a barbecue place up in Alabama. Really cool place. And one of the ladies that was in there, that was living there, she was very attached to this one particular chair. And it turned out she was German. Well, my mom was German. So, and I was raised in Germany. So I do speak some German. And her and I carried on a conversation just like you and I are doing right now. And we taped it. It's all on tape. But it is just fascinating how, you know, how real it is. How just
Mhm.
really real it is. And if you know how to monitor yourself enough to not, totally, but just remember, you're just talking to another person. That's what you're doing. You're talking to another person.
Exactly.
And and you have to keep it real like that. That and it does it has the very real possibility of really twerking somebody off. It's like you're over there and you're asking them to talk, and you kind of reaching out to them and wanting the communication, and then when they give it to you, everybody freaks out and takes off.
Mhm.
Stay at home. Just stay at home. Don't even do it.
Um,
But
we had one. We were helping. We were doing an event with another team, and it was at St. John Cemetery. And we've investigated St. John Cemetery so many times. And in fact,
Right.
our granddaughter loves investigating St. John Cemetery because there's an infant cemetery there. And we'll pull up, and
oh,
most kids that are 8 years old, you pull up at 9 o'clock at night in a cemetery, and they're like, "I'm out of here." She was like, "Papa, where's my K2?" And she's walking with Papa. The two of them are running ahead, and I'm wobbling behind them, going, "I'm coming." But we were
coming.
investigating. We were investigating this cemetery, and we were by this one. tomb, and we kept getting EVPs. Please leave. Please be quiet. Please leave us alone. Please leave. And after the third time they said, please leave, I looked at Richard. I said, we need to leave this area. I said,
Yeah.
they want us to leave. And people forget that these were people. You
They
know,
were people.
how would you feel if someone comes in your house and keeps going, what's your name? Who are you? What year did you die? And then they ask you again, what's your name? Is there anyone here? Make a
Yeah.
noise. Now make another noise. Now make another noise. Can you do that again? You know what I mean? And it gets, if someone did that to you, you'd be like, oh my gosh, will you please go? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm not a performing monkey.
And
I'm not going to do this.
And that's it. I mean, that's
exactly.
something that people have to look at too. Is yeah, if it's just an empty old house, nobody lives there. When you walk in there and you're getting activity, from people that had lived there or owned the place, that's still their house. So you're a guest in their house,
That's right.
and you should treat them as if you were a guest in their house. Because like
That's
you said,
exactly right.
they get irritated, and then some people go, "Well, I went and I didn't get nothing. I was yelling." Well, that's why,
I
because
was
you're.
I was very impressed.
Because they're done. They're
We
done.
went on a tour of historic Pensacola. We were walking around downtown, and we had gone to a maker's market, and we just caught ourselves just walking, and we came up on the old Pensacola Village, and there is like the most haunted house in Pensacola is there on the tour, but we went and we were going through all these places, and the one thing that I felt was so respectful is that when the tour guides walked up to this super haunted house, they rang the doorbell and said, Mrs. Ross, or whatever her name, I don't remember her name, um, may we come in? We're coming to visit. We won't stay long. Tell them the spirits in the house. They rang the doorbell and they asked permission to come in. And I felt that was so respectful, because many people just charge in
Yeah.
like they own the place. Well, you don't own the
Yeah.
place. This person is
Exactly.
still there and it's their house, you know,
And,
especially from back
very possibly, yeah, very possibly when they were telling you as when you were in the cemetery, I've noticed that there is a lot of protection when it comes around the little ones.
then.
And more than likely, you were probably being directed to leave because of the fact that the baby's there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I know that we had that situation in a place that we've gone to many, 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 many times. And a lot of the incidences that were occurring was because of the two children that were in the place,
Mhm.
who actually, like with you guys, got to know us very well and will call us out by name all
Hmm.
the time. Um, Sweet, sweet, sweet things. But once we got to know the mother and the mother got to know us, then there was no more of that shielded protection because they realized that we were of no harm. We were just as protective of them as she was, and she became very, very nice, and even showed us her children one time, introduced us practically to her children. It was amazing. It was just amazing. So, but yeah, I have heard them when they have actually said, "Do you want us to go?" And they were like, "Yes, very tired, so tired," and they were just done with it.
We
And
had we had one place in Mobile that we investigated. I'm not going to say where because I don't want to give away some of our places.
yeah,
But there's a place
yeah,
in Mobile that we investigate, and it's an old house, and the only spirits there were family, and it's the parents and the children and the
hmm,
nanny, and they're there because they loved it because it was their house. The children are very
yes.
active, and at one point Richard was upstairs and he sat on the children's bed, and we got an EVP that was a Scottish woman that said, "You ought not be doing that," because he sat on the children's bed. you know
That's
and
great.
the proprietor of the house now makes it very clear. If you go in to investigate, she loves having groups in there to investigate, but do not cleanse the house. She said, this is their house.
Oh,
Do not cleanse the house. She makes it
yeah.
very clear.
No,
Right.
no, no, trying to cross anything.
Nope. Do
You
not
know,
cross anybody over.
but they're
I can
there. Yeah,
understand
we've
that.
gotten the little girl in the house. She'll sing. You get her on recording singing. Um,
That was the
I've
creepiest sound ever, though. That was creepy.
yeah.
You have to,
She
that,
sang "Happy Birthday."
yeah, everybody's cleaning up. And of course, the last thing you pick up are the voice recorders, right? So those run till the end. And everybody's cleaning up. You hear everybody, hey, did you get the REM pods? Yeah, I got the REM pods, blah, blah, blah. And while you're hearing everybody just clamoring, cleaning stuff up, the whole time you hear, happy birthday to
Yeah,
you, happy birthday to through the whole time,
yeah.
this little girl singing happy birthday.
And then like I would tell I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go to another room, and she said, "Don't leave me." You know,
Oh,
you could hear her call out like you'd hear her like you'd have a recorder, but it would be in a distance. You could hear her like "Daddy," from a distance. Um, just all kinds of stuff. But and that's one of those places that you have to be respectful, and then
you do.
they get
Yeah,
to know you. I really believe that they get to know
that's
you.
right.
They get to know who
I do
you
too.
are, and then they open up more to you. But it's like I tell everybody,
Exactly.
yeah, you might go there 100 times and not get nothing, and then one day it's
Right.
just crazy.
Because they don't work on your schedule.
They talk to you when they want to.
That's right. And it's conditional as well. Like one place that we've gone quite often is that we can always tell when we go in there if something's changed on what's been going on. And I asked the manager, "What's been going on? Has this happened? Has this happened?" And he'll tell us, "Well, we had this or this." Well, there you go. Okay, yeah, we it the whole ambiance is changed from the times before.
Hmm.
So, I mean, just like us, we have our good days, we have our bad days. Again, they're just people, and you know, the conditions of the environment change with the conditions that they're going through at that time. It's
Yep.
very, very, very interesting. It's a lot more intricate than some people seem to think that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And but people are very
Yep.
intricate. People really are. I mean,
But they,
nobody's the
there's
same.
a lot of people that say, that are like, well, when you die, you're just dead.
Mm, mm-mm.
Let me tell you something. As much stuff as I've seen and heard and witnessed over the years that I've been doing this, if 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 that's it when you die, that's it. I'm gonna be very upset. That was a
But it
very
won't
short,
matter.
very long break. No, but
Yeah,
because you really think about it, all the things that I've heard on recordings, that there's no way. It's not like you have your recorder and somebody talked on a CD and it came across, or you know what I mean.
right.
There's no way that nothing else could get on there other than to speak into it.
I don't know if you've ever done an EVP and you listen to it and it said one thing, and then when you listen to it again later, it says something completely different.
Yes.
Because we were with a group, and it was the first time we were investigating with this group. We had only investigated a couple times with them, and then we kind of went out on our own. But we were investigating this one house, and we got out of the car, and I kept staring at this top window. I could not stop staring at this window. And they're like, "What are you looking at?" I said, "I don't know. That window keeps holding my attention. I keep expecting to see something move in it or whatever." And they told me, "Well, that's where we got EVPs, in that room. That's where we got all of our activity." And I was like, "Oh, I'd never been in the house before." And like I said, this is the first time we investigated with this group. And we had the voice recorder up in that room. And when John came down and he had the voice recorder and he's like, "Hey, listen to this." And I'm listening and I hear a girl say, "I'm sorry." Just like that. "I'm sorry."
Oh,
And I said, "What did you hear?" He said, "I heard a girl saying, 'I'm sorry.'" I said, "Yeah, that's what I heard." So then we went over to the leader of the group, who was a minister. And I said, "Listen to this." And he listened and he looked at me and I said, "What do you hear?" He goes, "What do you mean? What do I hear?" And I said, "What do you hear?" He goes, "Don't you know your own name?" And I said, "What?" And I listened to it again in a different voice, a gravelly male voice, said, "Colleen." Clear as day. Clear as day. It was
I
the
don't know how
craziest
it
thing.
changed, but
It was the
that was
craziest
weird.
thing.
Yeah.
Now
But I
we
mean,
have gotten EVPs where when you hear it, there's been different people in the room. Everybody hears something different
Mhm.
with that EVP that would relate to that person.
Mhm.
So if I heard it, I might hear a name. Somebody else heard it. They're like, no, this is what I heard, but I related it to this and down the line. And there was like four or five people that all sat and heard it, but we all heard something different that we could say it related to us.
Mhm.
yeah.
And
That's why we
that
never
blew us
tell each
away.
other what we hear. I'm like,
Yeah,
"There's something here. Let he'll let me listen to it. I'll let him listen to it." And then they'll say what they heard, and that way you're not influencing what they're hearing, because a lot
right.
of times you say, "Well, we think it says this," and then you listen to it again, "Oh yeah, it does say that," but that's not what you heard
Yeah,
originally.
right.
That's
And that's what you
it's a
go by.
strange,
Strange phenomenon.
strange thing because I mean, and you can have two digital recorders or two tape recorders running right next to each other, and you'll get that EVP on one and not the other.
Right. And not the other.
Yeah, we
Yep,
were
it's true.
we
That's what's
we
weird.
went to it's a park now in Pensacola, and there's like a Boy Scout house on the park. Well, they discovered that under this playground is a cemetery. So because they were excavating or whatever, and they found bodies. And there's like over
Oh,
70
oh no.
bodies under this playground.
78
Oh
graves
no.
found so far.
And so we went there one night or one evening after I got off work, and we were just walking around doing EVP sessions, and we're just walking around just asking questions, and weren't really getting anything. Out of nowhere, weather moves in, like storm clouds moved in, it starts thundering, and I'm like, where did this come from? It had been clear and sunny, and all of a sudden the storm moves in, and then we get an EVP of an elderly sounding woman saying, didn't look like this before. Clear as day.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, because it was a cemetery
Yeah,
and now it's a playground.
there are so many
Yeah.
places around Pensacola that were cemeteries, but the whatever was buried there still there, but there are no
Yeah.
headstones, nothing like that. It's just they're just
Right.
forgotten. You know.
And there were cemeteries out on Pensacola Beach that, of course, over hundreds of years, the sand is moving constantly. So the bodies are gone. And then, of course, the headstones or the grave markers are gone. So when they build, you know, condos and stuff, they're building it on top of cemeteries, not knowing there's cemeteries there.
There's,
Yeah.
there's there are quite a few cemeteries in Pensacola that are.
It looks like an empty lot.
Hey man,
Hey, Ben.
that
Hi,
they just
Ben.
there's one that was the Pensacola. I guess you would call it the poor farm, whatever. Uh, but
Hmm.
back in the day, and it's a pauper cemetery. It's Potter's Field is what they call it. Potter's Field. It's a open grass area with a trail through the middle where people been driving through the middle of it. And it's a cemetery. It's full of people, but there are no markers, nothing. It's just an open grass field. But it was an entire cemetery for the poor farm. There's a lot of places like that around here.
Yeah,
You find cemeteries in the woods that are all overgrown, and it's just sad.
I'll tell you though, I think the coolest cemetery I've gone to
it is.
is in November. We went up to New Jersey, up by upstate New York, to visit my sister, and we went to Sleepy Hollow, New York. Most people don't realize Sleepy
Oh,
Hollow is a place. Washington Irving's
Yeah.
buried there, but Sleepy Hollow Cemetery is huge. And you're walking along the path and you see the tops of gravestones, you know, as you're walking, it's like under the path. You see these gravestones, as you're walking up, but they take such
Wow.
great care of it. But that's how old this cemetery is, and the tombs are so cool. Like Richard was looking inside because he's one of those weird ones. I'm gonna look inside this mausoleum and see if I see a body. If there's a cracked open tomb, he's gonna put a camera in there and see if he can see anything. And he was looking in one, and he said
I'm with you, Richard. I do the same thing.
he had actual ceramic. They
I
had
do too.
ceramic busts of each of the people who were buried there, so you could see what they looked like when they were
Oh,
alive, which
cool.
I thought was really
That's
pretty
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it was that the mausoleum. Yeah, we don't have cemeteries down here like they have up
No,
there. That's a
Yeah.
whole. I mean, there were just mausoleums everywhere, and some of them were just plain, with their names on the front or whatever. But there were several of them that were really, fancy and had like busts in them of what the people looked like and decorated, maybe like a big iron chandelier in the middle and, things like that. So there were a bunch of fancy cemeteries. It's something else.
usually I'm not a big fan of investigating cemeteries because I always said, when I die, I'm not hanging around where my body's decomposing. I'm going to go to the places that I loved. But
Right.
sometimes, especially since COVID, it's been hard to get into places since COVID.
Yes.
And there's a lot more groups, paranormal groups now. So there's a lot of places that are charging
Yeah.
more. Places that didn't cost us anything now will cost you to go in to investigate it. Even just on
Right.
Pensacola NAS to go in the lighthouse. It didn't used to cost you to go in the lighthouse. You just went in and you walked up the stairs, you went to the top, and you could do EVPs. Now it costs you like $25 a person, I think it is.
It's 15
15,
something.
25, something like that, to get
Wow.
just to go in the lighthouse. You know,
Yeah.
Fort Morgan now costs
Wow.
several $100s just
Yeah.
to
It's like
rent it from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. You have
it's
to be
like
out by 12.
$500 for 6 hours.
Mhm. Whereas he used to have his own key to the place
Whew.
back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is it's
Yeah.
getting tough to find
Yeah. Time for
to find new places. And we look up on get those cases every now and then, and people will be like, don't just don't show up like all dressed up in like
In the shirts and
shirts and all this stuff.
signs
Just
up.
come like regular people, so my neighbors don't know what's going on, and that kind of thing.
We had
Yeah.
one customer who was a firefighter. He's like, I don't want the guys to know, but I need your help. you
Mhm.
know. We've had one family that brought home their newborn baby, and they were having crazy activity in the house. And we went and we investigated, and come to find out they had these huge dehumidifiers, like huge size,
Industrial
industrial
dehumidifier.
size dehumidifiers all over the house. And when you walked in the house, you felt the energy immediately. Like you started having a headache and everything. It felt like your skin was crawling, and everybody on the team felt it. And when we found these dehumidifiers, and there were so many of them, and we went over to with the millimeter, and it spiked. And we're like, okay, first of all, you need to shut all these off because even
Yeah.
if you didn't have anything in your house, you are like a lighthouse to any spirits in the neighborhood. They're all going to come here
It's true.
just to feed off the EMFs. So you need
Yes.
to turn all these
And
off.
that's what we got on the spirit box when we were running the spirit box. The only thing that we got, we asked a question, why are you here? And it said just passing through.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Yeah. The
they're
transients are
coming here
tough.
to gather energy, but
They
after about 2 hours,
mhm. It felt great in there, and
we
then we
quit getting
cleansed the
anything.
house. And then the next morning, she messaged us and said, "It's the first time we slept through the night in forever. It feels great. Thank you so much."
They were
So
just a big spiritual battery.
yeah, it was like, "Hey, everybody, come over here."
Battery.
It's like having a free buffet. Hey, everybody, we're
Three
barbecuing. Come
generators.
on over. Whole neighborhood, come on.
But I mean, I really think that that's the first thing that, when you go to investigate somebody's home, the first thing that because if they're saying, well, we're having this happen and this happen,
Rule out the obvious.
yeah, try to figure out
Yeah.
if it's
Earthly
just
reasons.
something normal happening. There's a squirrel in the attic, or whatever. Try to figure out all the things that it could be first, and then go
Sure.
into the paranormal part. Because a lot of times you can,
That
when
is
we go
very
to
true.
houses and stuff, you can explain, well, it was this or it's that. And then if you can get rid of all that and it's still happening, then for sure, hey, we are getting something that's paranormal and not, something that's normal.
We
You
had
know,
we had one in Gulf Breeze,
Yeah.
and it was one of the ones where she's like, "Okay, don't wear your shirts," like so we had to cover our shirts when we went in, um, and we set up in her garage, and she kept getting woken up. I think it was at 3:14 every morning. She was getting woken up, and at one point it was like her ring doorbell. She kept hearing her name coming through the ring doorbell at 3:14 in the morning. And so we went over there and we set up equipment. And when we were doing it without her, we didn't really get a lot going on. And when we brought her into it and we're like, here, you ask questions, you see, the equipment would go off like crazy.
but it would answer her questions.
Yeah, it would answer her questions. And then we were using the SLS camera and we kept seeing a stick figure that looked like it was doing this and just kept doing this. And I was like, it looks like they're playing golf. And evidently her late husband was a PGA golf champion, which we had no idea. We had no idea at all. And come to find out, she had been dating someone and it was not a good relationship and they were not very kind to her. And she ended up breaking up with them on March 14th, 3:14, which is what time
Every morning,
every
three
morning.
fourteen.
And after she broke up with them, it stopped. And we're like, it was your husband trying to tell you, get rid of this person. This person's not good for you. It's not good for your
Yeah.
energy. It's not good for your sanity. It's time to get rid of them. And he was letting
Mm-hmm.
you know when it was going to happen.
And that's what everybody has somebody, I think, that watches over you.
And just because you have activity doesn't mean it's
Oh
something
yeah.
bad, it's something scary, it's
Oh yeah.
something trying to get to you or possess you or
Yeah,
whatever.
No, not at all.
Sometimes it's just family going, hey,
yeah.
how you
Hey,
doing?
Right.
don't do that, stupid. Or
Exactly.
What are you thinking?
even if you people think, well, oh man, something told me not to go that way this morning, and I'm glad I didn't because I'd have been in a wreck. Yeah, it's your guides. They're telling you.
It's
When you
called
get
the
that.
burnt toast theory.
Right.
It's called the burnt toast theory. Your toast burned that morning, so you had to make something else for breakfast, and it held you up by another 10 minutes. But in those 10 minutes, your normal road home, there was a major accident that you would have been in if you hadn't burned your toast. And that's the way I look at things.
Right.
It's burnt toast theory.
Mhm.
Everything happens for a reason. You might look at it as, oh man, I burned my toast. My day is going to be terrible. Not even realizing that that is what set you on your path for that day. The things that were supposed to happen and the things
Right.
that were meant to happen for you. You could have ended up just having an interaction with somebody that
Mhm.
changed their life and you had no idea, but it's because you burnt your
I
toast.
mean, there's people that drive to work and they're like, I never go that way, but I had this just I don't know, just for some reason I turned down a different road and went that way. I had this gut feeling not to go the normal way I went. It's why? Because it's telling you don't
Yep.
go that way. Everybody has people that are
People just don't
watching
trust
over,
their gut. They don't
and
trust
a
their
lot
gut
of
at
people
all.
don't believe that. They're like, "Oh, that's crap. Y'all are full of it." But I really, really do believe, in be it whatever you want to call it. People call them, spirit guides or your guardian angels, or you know, it
Right.
is what it is. There are spirits, souls, spirits, whatever you want to call them, that push us on our path and help us. Because that's what they're there to do. That's their job. They're there to make sure that you don't do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time they can't force you not to do it,
Well,
but
where are your
they
guides?
tried. I don't know. They
Yeah.
sleeping smoke break.
Your guides are like out playing with squirrels or something. I don't even know.
Oh, barbecuing.
Hey, don't feel bad. It takes three to keep me going. I got three of them, so I got to be a handful.
Oh my gosh! Over this
You
over the
know, bless their
summer,
heart.
I'm at the hospital. I'm at work. I get a call from him going, "What do you do for wasp stings?" And I said, "Make a paste of baking soda and water, put it on there, let it dry, and then scrape it off with a credit card." And he's like, "Okay." I fell off the roof. So he led with wasp stings, ended with he fell off the roof. I said, "Why are you on the roof
Getting the
when you're
pine,
home by yourself?"
pine straw
Well,
off
he
the
was
roof.
getting the pine straw off the roof, hit a wasp nest. The wasp came out and attacked him, and he fell off the roof onto the concrete. I don't know how he didn't break his neck. I have no idea.
I don't know. Somebody told me, I guess, or all my fat just patted me when I hit the ground.
I said, I guess you bounced. I don't know, but somebody was watching out for him that day. But stupid ideas.
Yeah.
That's like our youngest was driving a 2004 RAV4. Okay. And at one point during Hurricane Sally, some barges hit the 3 Mile bridge that separated Pensacola from Gulf Breeze, took the bridge out for months. So we would have to drive all the way around to get to 2 hours out of the way to get to Gulf Breeze, which is where we lived at the time. And our youngest, AJ, was driving from Gulf Breeze to work or school, or I don't remember which, and had to drive down I-10 to get to school going 70 miles an hour. That's wishful thinking, probably more than like 85, but going 80 miles an hour down I-10 in the fast lane in the RAV4, blew a tire going 80 miles an hour. Okay, now you can imagine how congested I-10 is when the entire the bridge going over the bay is completely shut down. So all the traffic going from Gulf Breeze to Pensacola is going through this one route. But he blew a tire. Car rolled, ended up in the median. I get an alert on my phone that there was an accident. I get a call from him saying, "Hey, Mom, I had an accident. I'm on I-10. Come and get me." The entire car was totaled except where he was sitting. And he did not have a scratch on him.
Wow.
Not a scratch on him. All the crap that was in his car, you know how 20 somethings are. Their cars are full of crap. All the crap kept
Oh yeah.
flying forward, rolling around, rolling in the median. Nobody had hit him. And he had just rolled and ended up in the median. Not a scratch on him. Our daughter, she was driving her it wasn't a Mercedes, it was a Cadillac. She was driving her Cadillac again down I-10 or 110, going again in the fast lane, going 70, 80 miles an hour. The steering column of her Cadillac broke while she was driving in the fast lane on 110. The steering column completely came off of the car and broke. And the car ended up going into the median, bounced off, went into the median again. All these cars driving past her, she didn't hit one other car, not one other car. And she came out of it with just a concussion and some bruises. I'm like,
Wow.
you have to believe that there are people out there that are looking out for you. You have your spirit
Oh
guides, you
yeah.
have people looking out for you. And I 100% believe that because some of the stuff that we've gone through, Richard has survived cancer twice. I've got a brain tumor and we have survived these things. And I think we're here for a reason. We're doing what we're doing for a reason, and it's just a matter of finding the right time and the right place to do what we need to do. We've got 2 Paracons coming up this year that we're going to be at. We're going to be at Cajun Country Paracon in Louisiana, and we're going to be at Ozark Paracon in Ozark, Alabama. And this will
I
be our
know that one.
yeah. So we've been to these a
I
couple
know that
times,
one.
and we love going to them.
You reckon you'll be there too?
You think?
I reckon I will.
You reckon? I'll
I
tell you,
reckon.
last year we had a hoot. We had a hoot.
We had
Oh
so
yeah.
much
We had so
fun.
much fun. Stupid question.
What's the humidifiers though?
The
As an attractant?
oh
We
yeah,
oh
I know what
Oh,
he's
I didn't
talking
even
about.
hear it.
because
Yeah,
he's got two of them.
they put out tons of EMF.
Tons of EMF. Our millimeters were maxing out on EMF. Like it was crazy.
The
You could
EMF, you
feel
could bring
it.
any meter at K2, EMF meter, mel meter, they would just peg out. The EMF was just
So
nuts.
here in the house,
Yeah,
these were industrial size, like
they
Yeah,
were.
big,
Yeah,
because they say
these were
and they
like
had like a bunch of them.
3 feet tall. Yeah, big, huge ones.
They had them in like every room of the house.
But you can check them with a, like, if you have a K2 or something, um, or just a regular EMF meter, just go near it and see how much it's putting out. Even the small ones will put out a good bit if they're, older ones. But the
yeah,
big ones really do. I mean,
And the
I
high
was
high
picking it up.
EMFs.
I was picking it up before I even came through the door. When I turned the meter on, I was outside the door, and it was already starting to go up as I was going to their front door. When I opened the door, it couldn't even register.
And like high EMF, of course, also aside from attracting spirits, it also causes things like headaches, hallucinations,
right,
nausea, restlessness, anxiety, depression. Um, I mean, it causes all
Hmm.
kinds of side effects. So it's not good for your health to have that much EMF in your
not at
house.
all.
And
Yeah,
so they turned off the humidifiers and took them out of the house, and they said their house felt 100% better. And in that case, we saw something, it wasn't paranormal. However, we did have EVPs and we had some spirit voices coming through, but they weren't that the house was haunted or the family was haunted. It was just stuff that was attracted by the EMF. And that was it. And once the EMF was
right,
gone, the spirits were gone. And so
right.
and these poor people, they had paid people had asked to be paid to come in and investigate the house and clear the house. Richard and I never asked for money, never. We've had people who have insisted on donating, for batteries or whatever, but we never ask for money because we're in it for the investigation, for the
Right.
science, just to find out what's the next step, what happens, because you don't know what happens after you die until it's your
Exactly.
turn, and by that point you can't tell anybody.
Right.
you know
We go to
That's
we go to
true.
church and we believe in
Well,
God and
this has been an
you know
absolutely
all this other stuff. But still, I think you can. You know what? You still, there's got to be some way that they come back and forth.
yeah,
There just has to be I understand when you die you go to heaven, or but how are they coming back? Or are they just staying? Are they coming back and forth? Are they there all the time, or are they go, wherever part of the time and over at their house part of the time?
I feel like they're allowed to visit, but that there's rules on that side, because there's been several times
yeah,
where we've gotten EVPs where it was one person telling another spirit, no, shh, don't say anything, or don't talk, or don't talk to them.
right,
you know and I think that there's a rule about you can come and visit, but don't interact and don't talk to people, don't show yourself, and just like live people, there's going to be people who color outside the lines and they're like, watch me, I'm going to do this. So I think that there is
right.
definitely rules on the other side, and that some people stick to them and some people don't, just like on earth. But you can't
Yeah,
believe in what we do and not believe in some that there's something after you die. Then what we do makes no sense.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. Well, you can't record what's not there.
Exactly. Where
Hmm.
else is it
Bottom
coming
line.
from?
Yep,
That's just the bottom line.
that is
You
so
can't
true. That
record
is
what's not there.
that is a great way to put it.
Mhm. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's like the pictures we took.
that's one of the
We took pictures of full-bodied apparitions, and they were not there. We're looking right at them, and in fact, my picture has a live person in the background, and there's a woman at the myrtles,
right,
and you can see the pampas grass through her, but we didn't see her at the time. I just stood there after breakfast. Everybody, the teams talk about what they're going to do and everything. And I just went click, 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 and took a bunch of pictures. And then while everybody's yammering on about this and that and the other, I just sat there blowing up every inch of every picture just to see if I found anything. And when I saw her, it was like, oh my God. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I got a lot of spirits at the Myrtles that day. I think I was the only one that captured anything that day.
That place is. Have you ever been to the Myrtles?
The Myrtles is pretty amazing.
It is that place is
Yeah,
something
it's
else.
pretty amazing.
It is. I saw some stuff there that I was like, yeah, this is crazy. I saw a lady's earring get pulled out of her ear, and I watched her earlobe pull out straight, and the earring was sticking straight out. It was a long earring, and her earring was sticking straight out like somebody had a hold of it, and they were just pulling it, and it popped out of her ear and fell on the counter. And I was like, I'm just standing there like, what the world? And she picked it up, put it back in her ear, and she like looked over at nothing and was like, knock it off, And she said, working there, she said it happens all the time. Their earrings get pulled, or they'll hear people talking behind them and there's nobody there. All kinds of weird stuff. That place is great.
I don't know if you could say this.
Yeah, back up
Yeah.
a little bit.
This lady right here in the
Uh huh.
full Victorian garb, yeah, she was not there.
Right.
She is a full bodied apparition.
Wow.
And we had actually, the
She's
lady in the
beautiful.
background over here is actually a person, but this lady,
This lady right here wasn't there.
she's in full Victorian garb. You can see the grass
Wow.
through her. You can see stuff through her head, but her
Mm-hmm.
hair is all up in a bun on top. And
Right.
we even went and asked at the Myrtles, we said, do you have anyone in period clothing during the day walking around? I was like, even though we could see stuff through her, I was like, maybe trick of the camera, something, try to debunk it. She said, no. The only time anyone is in period clothing is for the ghost walk at night. And this was taken at 9 o'clock in the morning,
At breakfast, right after breakfast.
Wow.
right after breakfast. And it was the most amazing, I mean, everybody talks
That's
about
an
Chloe
amazing
there.
picture.
Everybody talks about Chloe, and we didn't see Chloe. We didn't get any pictures of Chloe. I got pictures of little kids. Um, we went on the ghost walk that night, and I was just taking pictures around as we were going, and there were no children on the ghost walk with us. And we had a picture. There was a blonde haired lady and a man next to her, and you see a child's head right above her head, just peeking up from behind her head.
Oh,
Oh, it's crazy. And I mean, she was tall, so that would have to be a very big kid.
Yeah, we've been to some, we've
or
been to some
standing on
pretty
something.
cool. Doing this. A lot of people look at us like we're nuts, and I think they look at a lot of people, that they're nuts. But they're. We could have way worse hobbies. We
Oh
might
yeah.
be a little crazy running around out in the dark hunting for ghosts, but we could be doing way worse. So I don't know.
And of
I
course, we've
mean,
made
That's the
so many
truth.
friends and so many connections and so many
That's
other
the
people
truth.
who are
we
into
enjoy
Yeah.
what we do, and we've made a lot of friends over the years, and
Shoot, we were sitting here and I was eating my dinner, and he starts talking on the phone. He's on the phone with Keith Age. I'm like, you're on the phone with Keith Age? He's like, yeah. And they're just talking away. And I was like, Richard, he can make friends anywhere. He can make friends with everybody.
yeah,
I'll get birthday messages from Scott Porter. Happy birthday, Colleen! Like, thanks, Porter.
that's
It's
her.
nice.
That's her
Well,
man.
you guys have just been really, very, very interesting tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. It's been fascinating
It
talking
was
to you.
fun.
Oh,
You
my
got some
pleasure.
great experiences, and I can't wait to see you guys. By the way, Ben, yes, it is August the 9th and 10th. August 9th and 10th will
And
be
we
the
will be there.
Ozark Comic Con in Ozark, Alabama.
Yeah, we can't wait.
So you guys are going to be there.
Yes,
Yeah,
we're
we're
going to
going to
be
be
there.
there.
So come by a rim pod. I will
We're
have
all going to be
plenty.
The music box.
Or music box, or
okay.
something. I got some new stuff I'm working on, so There'll be some unique pieces there. There's not going to be very many of them, but there'll be a couple that are uh, a different idea than what we're used to. So,
Okay.
He's
um,
developing new stuff all the time. So
and yeah, and if you want to if anybody's watching, they want to get in touch with us. We're on Facebook. You can contact us through our page on Facebook at Their Voices Paranormal, and we're going to be also at the Cajun Country Paracon April 12th.
which is our anniversary.
Yeah, on our anniversary, April 12th.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Thank you.
It's going to be at the
Vermilionville.
Vermilionville Historic Village in Lafayette, Louisiana. So pretty good ways from Florida, but still, it's only a 1 day thing. Um, and then of course, we'll be at Ozark Paracomic Con in August. That's going to be so much fun.
That was so much fun this year. I loved it
We
this year.
have so much fun there.
I had fun.
We were running around and
Yeah,
we chit chatting and talking, and we got to meet Litriana and Beats.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It's a
isn't she wonderful?
Yeah, it's a really good time, and so anybody that's listening, be sure get your tickets. Come to the Paracon. It's in Ozark. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can come see me. You know,
Absolutely,
Don't scare them off.
absolutely.
but no, I mean there's
Well,
going to be
we'll be
lots of
talking
cool
to you
people
guys
there, and
soon.
you know even the vendors. You can have tons of vendors selling all kinds of everything. From
Hmm.
Anything you can think
paranormal equipment to
Oh,
freeze dried
and the
candy.
vending and
I
the
have to stay
vending
away from
the
candy.
vending spaces are starting to go already. So
That's good. I hope they
it's
sell
it's going to be
every
very, very
one.
interesting.
of.
Every
Yes.
space is going to
I
be full,
know, I know.
and people are going to be lined up
This is
waiting to get in.
Last
yeah,
year we went.
yeah.
It was
We
like
um
30.
we do become a big family.
Yep,
So
and that's what it
well,
feels like.
thank you both of you for coming.
Thanks,
Oh yes,
Debbie.
Yeah,
We
it
enjoy it.
does.
We love it.
Oh, thank you.
And we got plenty
And
more stories.
we'll
So
be
never
talking to
put
you
us on.
soon. Good, because we got more shows. So we'll be seeing you guys really soon. And you take care. And everybody out there, like we said, the Ozark Paracomicon in Ozark, Alabama, August 9th and 10th. Come on down and see us. We'll all be there. And Ben, I know you're going to be there too. It's always been a blast. Yes, it is. We always have a good time there. And
yep,
our family's just getting bigger and bigger. Bill Perry and I was just talking about that a couple of weeks ago on the
yep,
show, how it's just like a big family reunion. And we just always have a blast.
yep. I came on and he goes,
So,
just about the whole family's here.
yeah, he's fun. He's just such a fun guy. Um, all right, so we'll be talking to you guys later, and everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in. We are way past our time, but it's been a good time.
That happens a
So,
lot with us.
y'all take care.
Yep.
Well, you're interesting.
Thank you.
So, Richard and Colleen, thank you so very much.
All right. See you
Like
And
soon.
everybody out there, thanks for tuning in.
we're gonna see you guys in
Thanks for
Ozark.
tuning in.
Everybody needs to
Absolutely.
show up.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.
Good night.